Zombro fans, Red Awesome 27 back here, and we have another wonderful week of Zombroz action. Excellent questions with two awesome special guests. I am extremely excited to have these two amazing upcoming YouTubers on, and go ahead and introduce yourself, guys.
What it is, guys, Swifters here.
Hella intro right there. How's it going, guys? City of Z coming at you. I'm excited for this. Totally hyped.
Oh my god.
Let's talk some zombies.
It's so exciting to have you two guys on. And you guys have come into the community recently and have just done extremely well. And I'm so happy to see the zombie community grow as it is. And that's why this week was kind of special to me, because it wasn't that normal, like the Dalek that's always been around or the Lonely Mailbox. Like, you guys have definitely came on like Black Ops 2-ish era. Can I actually, if you guys want to say a little history about yourself, I know a lot of people at home would love to know you.
Oh, go ahead, City of Z. You can go ahead and go first.
All right, sounds good. So I started like August before Black Ops 2. Mm-hmm. That's when I started uploading. I actually had a channel before it, but that was just like miscellaneous stuff that I've never actually talked about or shown, and I'm glad I've never done that. But that's another story in itself. But yeah, I started like just doing some pre-Black Ops 2 stuff. Slow growth, early Black Ops 2. Made a few Nuketown Zombies videos, and they started blowing up. And then the channel slowly grew. I hit a lull during Ghosts, but
as
now
we all did.
Oh yeah, the infamous Ghosts lull. But yeah, now coming up into Black Ops 3, it's looking good. It's looking good.
Oh yeah, everyone's hyped. How about you, Brandon?
Well, so I've actually been around since the Black Ops 2 days. I technically say that I started my channel on July 2nd, 2013, which is the exact day that the DLC Buried came out. So the Buried Zombies map came out. And from then on out, I've done my best to grind out videos on Buried, and then Origins as well. And then as Black Ops 2 kind of died down, I obviously had to evolve in order to reach out to different communities. And from then on out, my channel has grown significantly. And with the announcement of Black Ops 3, I'm hoping to get back into the Call of Duty community and collaborate with other zombie YouTubers. So I'm super excited, and I can't wait to see what Black Ops 3 brings for all of us.
It's going to be great. It really is. I've never heard so much excitement in our community before.
Absolutely.
We're at such an advanced stage in it. It's just been absolutely incredible. So enough of us ranting and raving, everybody. On to what you guys want to see this week. We're going to get into our first question today, and I want to know, guys, what is the first experience you ever had with Call of Duty Zombies?
Well, for me, I played the World at War campaign, I'm sure as most of us did, and as soon as we finished the campaign on that, it gave us this option to go to this bonus mode, so I tried that out, and I was scared. I was 11 years old playing this. It was nighttime, and I'm not sure how long I lasted, but I probably got to around 3 or 4, because I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know what to do. It's not like they gave us any direction as to exactly how to play this game, so they just threw us in this building. They threw us into Noct, and from then on out, I've came to love zombies. But that was about it for me.
How about you, City of Z?
I have a very similar experience, except I was not alone in it. I actually wasn't allowed to have Call of Duty back in the day.
Yeah.
But my friends did, and I was one day after, I think it was after all the DLC had come out, I went over at a friend's house, and two of my friends were already there. And I walk into the basement, the lights are off, so I'm like, what is going on? And sure enough, they're playing on Noct, and back then, I think their high was like round 7, and they got to round 6. They were on like round 6 when I walked into the basement, and I was like, what is this? And I was terrible when they gave me a chance to try after it. Like, similarly, I got like round 3 or something along those lines, but it was scary, lights off, the classic Noct experience.
Oh my god, that's awesome. I had a similar thing when I was so young at the time that I got my PS3, and then I immediately got World at War with it. And the PS3 actually came with a little slip that had all the ESBR ratings on it. And I cut out the T for teen, and I overlaid it onto the actual. I glued it on to the front of the packaging, because whenever my mom would be like, what is this shit? And I'd be like, I don't know, T for teen. She'd be like, damn. And so that worked for a great amount of time.
That's awesome.
But mine's the same. I finished World at War campaign, but I'm not as brave as you guys were, because as soon as I got into Nocturne Tone, because a friend told me about it at school, I quit out. I went immediately. I was like, oh my god. The first guy got in. He got in the barrier. I shot and killed him, and then I quit out of the match. I'm like, I can't handle this by myself.
That's awesome.
But I immediately went into multiplayer and went on co-op, and we got to like round 14. I was like, whoa. what is this beautiful world?
That's crazy.
And that's, the rest kind of becomes history.
Right.
It's such a great experience and so interesting to see. Like, so many people's first interaction with zombies, being at World at War, is such a magical experience. I'm so curious about people nowadays that, like, oh, my first map was Transit, and I love Transit. Like, I have a couple of those people I meet, I'm like, what?
I mean, again, it's never too late to jump into the whole zombies experience, but it's really awesome to know that there's a lot of people that go back to those classic roots and have been there since day one.
Yeah, and you can't replace it
Absolutely
either.
not.
Day one is always going to probably have the best experience. It's going to be tough for those guys that come in at Transit and they're going to look back and be like, what's this? Who are these guys? I don't understand this nonsense.
Right.
I mean, I don't know about you. I don't know about you guys, but I get those comments sometimes, like who's Tank? Oh. And it's like, what?
Oh,
what?
If I get that comment on one of my videos, it's
right.
Oh,
and it's just shocking to me, and the new generation of zombie fans and everything's changing. And Call of Duty too. Like, I'm working at a summer camp this year, and the campers that I have are 9 years old. They love Call of Duty Ghosts. They love it.
Oh.
And I'm like, what? Are you kidding?
Oh, but that's the whole Call of Duty idea. Whatever's the most relevant Call of Duty normally is for the younger kids their favorite Call of Duty. It's like the Call of Duty effect.
Exactly.
All right.
Very true.
So our next question here is, in Shadows of Evil, we know that we have our 4 characters and the Shadow Man alongside them. Do you think this Shadow Man has any correlation or connection with the pictures in Kino der Toten? There's some shadow pictures of a man on the wall. And also adding to this question that the person might not have known, there's actually 4 of those Shadow Man pictures in a room outside the map, and there's also one on the floor inside that very same room. So there would have been 2 on the wall next to each other, Shadow Man frames. Do you guys have any opinions on that?
Well, for me, the 4 paintings on Kino, I haven't really associated that 4th blacked out painting with Shadow Man. However, as you guys know, on Kino, we have this blood spatter on Kino, kind of blood splatter on the wall, and it's a lot of people assume it to be a Grim Reaper, if you guys know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of appears to be the zombie found in the Only the Curse Survived picture, holding that card. So that's kind of the only association that I have with Kino and with Shadows of Evil as of right now, but I'm sure that other connections may be made.
How about you, CZ?
I think that, definitely, I don't think Treyarch was intending this mystery portrait to connect to this Shadow Man figure, but I think they very well could. I think they probably just put it in as, some mystery, some add to the lore of zombies in Kino, but there's just the mystery surrounding this figure. I think they could, if they want to, the setting is set, and they can take it as this is the Shadow Man. I'm not positive it's going to be it, though. I'm skeptical.
That's a brilliant way to approach most things in zombies. Even the way I feel with it as well is just like, Treyarch never plans things ahead. They are very good about just putting things out there that they want us to evaluate, go further, go way down the crazy conspiracy theories. They're fine with pushing us in a direction. They try and send us in one way or another. And the shadow paintings in Kino were possibly like, let's see what they think of these paintings. Let's see what they have to say about it. We really didn't talk about it over the years too much about these paintings. So it's possible that they want to revisit some stuff because the creative head of Zombies this year is really taking the storyline very seriously. From what we've already heard from him, they really are keying in the storyline, which, it's worrisome if they're going to start spoon-feeding us stuff because we've never, ever wanted that. But I think from what they've given us with Origins and what they've given us with Mamba the Dead, we're going to see a very similar feel that way throughout our zombie campaign. So I'm along with you guys. Like, I really don't think there's any way we can for sure be like, oh yeah, Shadow Man this. I mean, just because he's not wearing a hat in this picture, but he is in that one. It's possible, but nothing is likely in this situation. It's too hard to really tell at this point.
Agreed.
Totally, yeah.
All right, so then let's go. That was great. You didn't ever get that in Zombies where everyone's like, hell yeah.
Yeah, we're agreeing.
For our next question here is, Where do you guys think Call of Duty Zombie storyline is going? Where's it headed? There's been a lot of good ideas like this, 3 different storylines going at once. We have the Shadows of Evil one, we have our main universe storyline, then we had our Origins universe storyline, and obviously the Origins universe has crossed timelines or is in the same dimension or somehow has impacted our original storyline. We almost have 2 right now running storylines. Where do you guys think this is all ending up going towards, or what are your opinions?
Well, like you said, that we do have those 2 storylines. So I personally think, we have the Origins storyline with our original characters, and then we have the Shadows of Evil storyline. I personally don't think that they overlap right now. As it was said at the Zombies panel, Shadows of Evil and Mob of the Dead are connected in some way, and Mob of the Dead is connected to all of the future Black Ops 3 zombie DLCs. So I do think that Shadows of Evil and the previous and Mob of the Dead are connected because they said it was. But I don't really know where it's going to be going in the future because they've set it up in such a way where they could really just do anything that they want, and I'm excited to see. I don't really have much opinions on the Origin storyline, and I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say about that.
For sure.
Yeah, so I'm a little different. I think that the Giant, the new Darius 2.0, that storyline and Origins, I think in that map, I think we're going to sort of see that total combination of those 2 storylines. I think in my vision of Treyarch's zombie storyline that Treyarch is going to, in Black Ops 3, try to bring it all together and make connections, but not like ending the story, but I think they're going to tie some of these loose ends together, or at least set the stage for us to tie the loose ends together, sort of come to a mini conclusion in a larger saga. So I don't really know how they would do that through DLC. I think in the Giant, they're going to sort of answer questions about Origins and the original storylines coming together and how they relate. And then ultimately through DLC perhaps, or, well, we don't really know if Shadows of Evil is going to have a continuation. But I think down the line they will link Shadows of Evil, or maybe even Shadows of Evil will directly tie into the Origin storyline or the Giant. Come November.
That is some fantastic thoughts. Even both ends there, because it's so hard to predict. Even if you want to know what it is, we can only sit here and just make conjecture on it. But based on what we have, that is an excellent point. And I would 100% agree with you that we're definitely going to get a lot filled in the Giant map. And I personally do believe we're going towards a conclusion, not of the entire Zombies as a whole, but of our storyline. It's been almost a 10-year arc. We're getting there. I think it's 8 years is what they've been telling me for.
Right.
Of our Fab Four, they need to end the story before they can move on. They try to give us our transit characters. They're constantly trying to break that mold and get away from them, but then they have to get sucked back in because the hardcore community that drives the game sales wants to hear the end of this story. So I think that's where they're going to go with it. I'm excited where the DLCs could go. If we don't get an Atlantis map this game, I think I might lose my mind at this point, because I went way down the rabbit hole with the whole Vril and stuff like that recently. And finding out that the whole concept behind Vril, and if you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, on my channel anyway, I will link it on screen, my silly video. But the Vril were the descendants of Atlantis, and it's just you're just too perfect. That is, you're finally giving us our out of I guess we got to go to a mythical city, and it just fits in with our storyline. It's gonna be sad to see it finally end, and I'm curious about your guys' opinions on this idea. Do you think Call of Duty will ever just jump over to, or even Treyarch in particular, just publish a zombies-only game? Do you think they'll ever do that? I was always skeptical in the past. I never, ever thought they would. World at War people would say that. Black Ops 1 people would say that. Black Ops 2 people would say that. I think at this point in time, it's so colossal, it's possible. If they really wanted to, they would definitely have enough sales for people to buy a Call of Duty Zombies game.
From a business standpoint, it would be a good thing to do on their part. It would give a lot of people... at least for the zombie storyline, where Black Ops 3 is going, I'm hoping it's going to give a lot of people closure for the overall storyline. But from a business standpoint and producing a zombies-only game, it's a great business tactic for Treyarch, and I think it would bring a lot of joy to zombie players.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. But the question is then, would Treyarch totally... if they elected to make this a zombie only game, would they totally abandon their multiplayer? Because I honestly like Treyarch multiplayer.
I love it too. Absolutely.
So
I'm saying,
it's sort of like a double-edged sword.
Right.
Here, like.
I'm not saying they leave the Call of Duty franchise, but if Call of Duty finally says, we're done with Treyarch, we don't want you back anymore, would you at least take the idea, like, I think we would at the very least be like, give us a zombie game. Just give us a Call.
Absolutely.
Like, get the rights to Call of Duty or just make your own spin-off. Give us a zombie
Absolutely.
game.
Yeah, if they legally can do it,
yeah, right. That's
they
the
better
big
do it.
All right. So our next question submitted to us is, which perks would you guys like to see on Black Ops 3? And do you have any perks you would like to see added? Any ideas maybe from either other Call of Duties, other games, or something you've made in your head?
Wow. I haven't really given this much thought. Obviously, I mean, Flopper. I think the majority of people want Flopper to come back.
Everyone wants Flopper. Oh, my God.
That's all I could really
Flopper.
think of as of right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think obviously in our core 4 perks, I think a general mix of everything that we've seen thus far would be good. There's no one perk that I necessarily need to see, but like one thing that I've always wanted to if grief mode returns, or like if some sort of competitive thing were to come back, I think like not perks necessarily, but like you could buy like abilities of sorts where like you could summon a boss zombie or something to solely attack the other team, or to take more direct action against your foes, as opposed to just like throwing meat at them. That didn't do anything. I'd throw it at myself to get points.
Yeah.
But if you could summon a boss zombie, or like we saw in the trailer, turn into one of the tentacle things or whatever that thing was,
Right.
or something of that sort, and actually you attack the other players, I think that would just be sort of a twist on making grief mode a little more interesting.
Well, that's a really cool point, and I think last week we brought up as well the idea of like having an Easter egg in grief mode, where if you complete it before the other team, you can now shoot the other team, or you now granted some benefit to directly. I mean, that would be awesome to see the two people competing. They both can do their own Easter eggs, their own sides at their own pace, but like they're on step 5 and they're on step 6, and we're like, oh dear God, we got to get it.
That's a really good idea.
That'd be so much fun. Yeah, I mean, that's stuff I hope Treyarch listens to and tries to implement eventually if they do bring, again, grief back.
Agreed.
So
yeah, I think grief has just, sorry to interrupt, but grief I think has so much potential. Like, they didn't really do much with it in Black Ops 2, but I think if they wanted, I don't know if you can make an MLG zombies scene, but that would be awesome in itself.
It would be exciting. I mean, we did actually, Sports Hawk tried to put a team together, and I was on it for a little bit. We were doing like game battles for grief.
Right.
And you start like round 15, and there's certain rules you have, and it was fun, but again, it gets to that problem where just like you have to survive the round, and it's just like an hour of a guy just running in a circle, buying ammo off the wall, and got lucky at his placement when he came in the map.
Right.
So it's just like the good with the bad. For me, definitely, I'd like to see PhD, but a lot of people, I think, that also would like to see it have an issue because there's no dolphin dive, but we could probably the slide might be able some exo movement we actually saw with the sword in the trailer. So PhD could come back in some shape, way, or form. Most likely is the XP system, just like we had the perma perk. It's probably going to come with the XP system where you have the quicker revives, you have better box spins as you play more and rank up in zombies. We'll probably see PhD in some shape like that is more likely. But perk wise that I would like to see, I love perks that change the game. Just like you suggested, the idea of having a zombie boss of some sort or something like that come in. I like the idea of either being able to buy all the perks, just one really big perk to allow you, but the perk bottles were an awesome power drop. that was really,
That'd be epic.
really awesome how they implemented it. But like, I'd love to have a perk bottle or a new Perca-Cola that really just changes the way you can play. I love how with PhD, you can use explosives. Any perks that can change, like, oh my god, now I can do this crazy thing. Sniper rifles are way more effective if I have this perk. Double Tap 2 did that for all guns. Like, it made machine guns and any bullet weapon so much more fun to play. So I hope we go that way. I don't have a specific example, but like going that way forward would be really cool if we could have a perk like that.
I'm sure we will, yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. Something to change the game.
So moving on to another idea about changing the game is about dynamic maps. Zombies has had an incredible evolution of how they've changed into dynamic maps. And I've always pushed for dynamic maps. But think about the way it has been implemented with the plane Mob of the Dead, for example, the tanks and the giants constantly walking across the map in Origins. Do you think this makes the game and the Easter eggs more fun, or does it get in the way of the experience sometimes? How do you guys feel about that?
Well, I think that it makes it a lot more fun because you know that these things have something to do with the Easter egg. At least for Origins, you have these giants. What's the point of these giants walking across the landscape? You know that, you need to interact with them in some way. It's just up to you to figure it out. And I think that it's a lot of fun, and of course at times it could be very tedious. You're running across the muddy battlefield in Origins, and you're zoning in on a trench, and all of a sudden you get down from a giant foot because you're not expecting it to come. So in that aspect, it's a little bit annoying to have these dynamic map events, but overall I think that they benefit the game and they make it a lot more fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. At least on your first run through of the Easter egg, or first few run throughs of the Easter egg, I love everything that changes. Like the giants are fantastic. The plane in Mob of the Dead, that was great the first time. But one of my biggest pet peeves about Black Ops 2 Zombies, I don't know if you can call it a pet peeve or not, but I did not like playing Mob of the Dead in order to have to pack a punch. And if you just wanted to play for fun, you have to rebuild the plane every single time. Like, that just got annoying and time consuming, especially if you're playing solo, because you gotta go up and down, up and down. Right? It's just that was a problem for me. But like, I love the Origins Giants. Those, I think that even if they killed you, I would still laugh. I mean, it was funny. Even the first 2 times it was annoying, but like. Yeah. I think they certainly add to the map, add to the complexity, add to the entertainment value of the map. So that's just my thought.
Those are very interesting responses. And I love hearing what different experience people have, because I had almost the opposite of both of you guys. Is like my first encounter with these type of gimmicky stuff, which we always enjoy. Every map's supposed to have some sort of gimmick. Is I hate when there's just so much stupid shit I don't understand at first, where the giants are just constantly, you got to get a hold of the pattern. But I grow to really enjoy this stuff. It's like, oh, I get it now. Oh, that's why they put it in. And there always seems to be some kind of like learning curve, for me at least, after being the old bitter guy from World at War. Like, we didn't have robots in my day. We had 3 rooms and we were happy. Right. It's like, all right, Reed, I always got to do that. I got to take myself out of that every now and then. Like, because Origins, I hate it on release. I absolutely hated it. And it's my second favorite map of all time. After time went on, it was just so well done, those little dynamic stuff. I like the one thing that I really like in Exo Zombies that maybe some people don't as much, but is the way certain rooms can get locked off and the dynamicness of that. I love the idea of like meteor strikes when the monkey rounds come in, and then for 1 or 2 rounds, or maybe you need to go get a gun or something, a rock comes down in front of Juggernog and you can't get to the Juggernog machine anymore. Or Pack-a-Punch, shows up somewhere else, but it's there for a while, but it's like every 5 or 6 rounds something happens. It doesn't need to be this like timer like the robots. Every 30 seconds this needs to happen, because it does get redundant. You have to wait around to get all the stuff. Why do you need to wait around to get the fuel? It just magically comes back. Like that's just game mechanics that kind of slow down the pacing of Zombies. But then we've now seen with Exo how crazy the pacing can get. So it's a weird balance, but I am always pro dynamic maps. And I don't think they hurt it as long as it's done within reason. It doesn't even have to be done right, but there's even certain things that like the fog. We all hate the fog, but we tolerated it on Call of the Dead. Unless you guys might, okay, I'm not going to speak for you. I hate the fog. I shouldn't do that. I hate the fog, and transit is just garbage, but you learn how to, deal with those certain dynamic abilities on the map and be like, all right, it's not the worst thing in the world. There's still X, Y, and Z I really enjoy about the map. Do you guys like fog?
Fog for life, baby.
Oh
no, I'm just kidding.
Just like, that's enough today from City of Z. I'll not be joining
the fog is terrible. It's awful. That's terrible. But I think on Shadows of Evil, I feel like you were just saying, how you liked Exo Zombies, how you can lock down an area, or not you lock down an area, but an area gets cut off. From what I understand about Shadows of Evil and how large it is and how many different areas of this city, of Morgue City, that we can access, I think that is a very possible situation. Like, there's all these back alleys. There was just some interview that they just tweeted out, Call of Duty tweeted out about how, and Blundell was talking about how their different areas relate and how there's back alleys and bars and all these different buildings that you can go into. I just feel like there could be some sort of dynamic event, whether it might be some sort of like fog like you see in the movies that totally destroys an area for a round or so. I just feel like that the city, the tight sort of corridors and open areas too, you can just like cut off the entrances in some matter. But I think I would love to see that actually in Shadows
Only
of Evil.
time will tell.
Yeah, talking about that just gave me this amazing idea. I wish they would have did with Shadows of Evil. Is just think about what they could do with the dynamicness. You said like the fog could come in for a certain area. Think about if they had like dogs, like Shido Numa type dogs, and seeing the fog flood into the entire city, and then just hearing that howls across the map. Oh my God, would that give you chills playing that? I hope they do something like that. I mean, when the city's that big and you have like a special round, like maybe I hate the gas though. Like the gas is so ugly.
Yeah, no, that's looks dumb.
And that's sort of what it looks like again with the monsters we're getting, the Nova 6 looking monsters we're getting in Shadows of Evil. Is I hope they don't do something as radical as that, but it would be cool if we get like the fog effect or something like that for like one of those rounds. Like we've never had an issue with dog fog, but like when it's Call the Dead fog, when you're just
that's what I was gonna say. Call the Dead fog.
It's like, all right, well I can't see anything anymore. That was totally fun. Do you guys think that as we play our characters in Zombies, they will have their own special skill as seen in multiplayer, or do you think we're just going to stick to normal vanilla zombies?
Yes and no. So as for the skills seen in the multiplayer, I don't think that we're gonna have that crazy of skills like we have, the gravity spikes, smashing into the ground, as we kind of did see it though with the elemental sword. But in regards to that, I don't think we are. But I do think that each character will have some sort of ability that's unique to them. So, for example, the boxer is going to be able to use his brass knuckles, whether or not that's acquired at a later time in the round, as opposed to having him start out with that. I think that he's going to be able to use his brass knuckles. The magician's going to be able to use some sort of throwing knife. And as for, Femme Fatale and the cop, I don't know right now, but I'm positive, or not positive, I'm hopeful that each character is going to have some sort of unique ability rather than a special skill.
I totally agree with that like we're not going to be seeing these multiplayer specialist ideas implemented into Zombies, but I'd love to see specific skills for each character, and that's not necessarily skills, just roles. You need a character for an Easter egg or some step to open a door, or like let's just say the boxer for example, you need his brass knuckles to do something, to accomplish some task. You need to kill zombies in front of this place with the boxer. No one else can do that. Or maybe like simultaneously all 4 different characters need to be doing something, and their skill, quote unquote, is essential for completing said step. I think that would be cool. I think that would be... I mean, it could be problematic if you wanted to talk about solo Easter eggs.
Right, that's no complaint. But, I mean, we've seen it in the past with Rick Toffin. He had to have the goldenrod and focusing stone, and you had to have 2 Easter eggs complete before it. And I never have a problem with that. Solo players gripe and get angry about it, but I think it adds so much. It makes the Easter eggs so much bigger and better than they are when you have certain people doing specific things. That's why I'm always so anti-solo Easter egg, because it's like, then you start restricting what we can do again, and it's like, man.
And now's not the time to restrict. Yes. Now we're on next generation consoles. I am so amped to see what they're gonna do with this. Like, beyond hype.
The only way I think they sneak in these advanced abilities or these skill abilities, I actually don't know what their names are in multiplayer. Do you guys know off the top of your head?
No idea.
Can't think of it right now.
Okay. Yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter. Is through that gumball machine or through perks somehow that you'll be able to do a slam that recharges at some point or something like that. I think that's the only way they'll be able to shoehorn, like we see in the trailer. Clearly it looks like the Smash, but no one's going around running on walls. No one's changing into a machine gun in their arm. Like, I hope.
No,
I really hope.
I think they're going to stay true to their roots, and it's going to be a really fun experience for everyone.
It's really shaping up that way. I think the Zombies is going to be one of the best experiences we've had in a while. Doesn't mean it's going to be the best maps we've ever had. Doesn't mean it's going to be the greatest things ever. But we were 3 years, just about 3 years, dry of having really good new zombie content. And but it's just like, we've been dying to get in on this type of stuff.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
The hype is so real.
Do you think that, given this time lapse in between the games, do you think that people have been talking about a potential like secret other map? Do you think that's a possibility? I'm kind of skeptical on that, but like perhaps something small, like after you beat the campaign, along those lines, going back to the whole knocked.
I'm kind of hoping there's not another map right now, because there's a lot to cover, and it's a lot to play, and it's a lot to have my mind focused on the Giant and focused on Shadows of Evil. I personally don't see it as a possibility as of now. They haven't really given us any inclination about a third map, but again, only time will tell. I'm sure Treyarch does have some additional tricks up their sleeves.
Always do.
I really think they will have a third map. I'm one of those opinions where, I mean, they did it with, so many times they've snuck on like little amount of maps when they've had enough time. They snuck in Dead Ops Arcade when we had 2 to start with and 5 after the campaign. And then technically, what they would probably argue with you is that they gave you Transit and they gave you 4 other maps on release when we got our last game. So they gave us 5 on disc to start, which, okay. we'll talk about that one, right?
Sure, whatever you say.
So I think it's very likely that they want to show us all the stuff, get us really excited about the Giant, get us really excited about Shadows of Evil, and then give us one more map. Because on disc right now, technically, we only get 1 map. And that's
agreed. Okay,
that's insulting to some people.
If you look at it that way, then yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm paying $60 for the other stuff of the game, but if I'm a zombie fan and I'm buying your product, and you've had 2 years to develop this, which you've in less time done normally 6 to 7 maps in that time frame, you're giving me one.
That's a good point to make.
Like, this better be the map. So I hope either they went all in on Shadows of Evil, or they didn't or not.
Yep.
Or whatever it did. Or they give us that extra map. All right, so for our last question here, do you guys have any one item you would want to put in the next Zombies map most? Either a gun, a perk, one of your ideas, an Easter egg. Is there anything that's been killing you while you've been playing Zombies that you just want to put in the next map, no matter what, that would make you just a happy camper?
We kind of touched on this earlier with the dynamic map events. I personally really liked having the bus on transit, in a sense that I thought that it was a really cool feature implemented into the game, and I always had so much fun getting on the bus, and then all of a sudden the bus begins to leave, and your friend's left behind, and your friend is running after the bus, zombies chasing him. I think that that's super fun to have in the game. I would like to see something like that get implemented into Shadows of Evil or any of the future DLC maps. Maybe it's not going to be so vital to the Easter egg or vital to our overall survival, but I think it would be something fun to have in the game. I personally enjoy using stuff like that.
Yeah, for me, I agree with you totally, Swifters, but one thing that I've always wanted, and it's kind of very simplistic, but I've always wanted a city map, like an actual metropolis, which we're sort of getting. We don't really know how high these buildings go, but I have always wanted to sort of climb a building, not die rise, which is just a few levels, but I just wanted to be able to enter a building and get to the top of it, and maybe multiple buildings. They don't have to be necessarily skyscrapers, but these apartment buildings maybe on the sides. If we can enter all these buildings and just have it sort of an open world feel, but not too open, but we can go in freely as we want, or we have to buy barriers, but I just always wanted to get to the top of a building and look over the zombie infested city. That's just something that I've always wanted to see.
Both of those are great ideas. I really appreciate it. The transit always gets me angry because I think it could have been such a good map if things were just implemented a little better. And it's just simple experiences like that is why that map isn't worse than some of the EXO maps we played. As much as we hate transit, I'd still play transit over probably all 3 EXO maps. I definitely play. Okay, I definitely do play transit more than I play the EXO maps. But me is just another evolution in upgrading weapons. Something that is even more crazy, even more abstract in some way, whether it's giving us attachments, increasing our firepower, and doing incredible new designs. I definitely want to see some kind of progression in the way we get to use our weapons, because there was nothing more magical. It's one of the reasons Doris is one of the greatest maps we've ever experienced, is that first time you played it and had Pack-a-Punch, you now took the game's 20 guns, so you had, maybe 40 different ways to play. If you had, primary and secondary, you could switch between them, and it just doubled, tripled the way you could play the game. And that's what I'm hoping for. Any way that gives us this longevity, even that they've been hinting at, that you'll never have the same experience, it's always going to be interesting playing zombies, that's what I hope we end up getting in our next game. That's more or less the idea or concept that I want to see put into the next map. But my God, this was a wonderful talk, guys. Thank you so much for coming on to Zombroz. That just flew by. Do you guys want to talk about your stuff and where people can check you out, follow you, and all that?
Well, if you guys like to go ahead and check me out on YouTube and Twitter, my name is Swifters. Hopefully Reed and City of Z will have it linked down in the description below. And if you guys are viewing this on my channel, you guys can check out both City of Z and Reed. I'll have both their Twitters and their YouTube channels down in the description below. They're going to be covering a ton of awesome Black Ops 3 Zombies content, so I highly, highly, highly recommend checking them out.
Yeah, pretty much what you just said, Swifter. Same thing goes here. Twitter, YouTube, for everyone is in the description down below. You got to make sure to check everybody out if you're watching on my channel. And if you liked what you see, make sure to just, stop on by. Say hi to everyone.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you again for coming on. And remember, guys, if you want to hear your questions, just leave a comment below. I check their videos as well. I make sure to go through it all, and I assemble all of our questions, and we ask it to our YouTubers each and every week. On screen, they've been annotated the entire time, so you can go check out their channels. All their information is in the description below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next Saturday at 2 p.m. for our next episode of Zombroz. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Peace.